Hey, it's Maria and Chad, and I know we're all doing life, but who knew life could be this funny? It is Doing Life with Maria and Chad.
And on today's podcast, we'll answer the age-old question: if the band Queen came and knocked on your door, would you answer? That's an age-old question, right?
I'd answer.
That and more coming up on today's podcast. Thanks for listening. We should probably start today, Maria, by congratulating you on your prediction. It's been a while. We usually do the podcast yesterday, and the reason we're postponed today, we'll get into that a little bit later in the podcast. But on our last podcast, you had predicted something about the very first pitch when Major League Baseball returned.
I said that Doc will be wearing a mask just to kind of set the example or prove he's on board. And you said, just to kind of contradict me, that he would not wear a mask.
Yeah, I was watching. It was, I think it was at the Washington Nationals game. It was last Thursday. If you were watching, Dr. Fauci threw out the first pitch with a mask. So you did predict that correctly. But we're going to get into.
Now,
oh, go ahead.
Do I win anything for this?
Yeah, You get to walk around with your chest out all day, feeling like you've accomplished something. Is that a good prize?
Yeah, I win nothing, is what you said. Okay, that's what I heard.
It's yeah, it's not really a physical prize. It's more, it just makes you feel good.
Okay, well, I feel good. I didn't watch it, but yay, I win.
One of the nominations we're going to talk about here in a second from the Emmys that came out, the Emmy nominations, because they're not able to do an actual award show, was Brad Pitt playing Dr. Fauci.
First, I'd like to thank all the older women in America who have sent me supportive, inspiring, and sometimes graphic emails. Now, tonight, I would like to explain what the president was trying to say.
They're going to have vaccines, I think, relatively soon.
Relatively soon is an interesting phrase. Relative to the entire history of Earth, sure, the vaccine's gonna come real fast. But if you were to tell a friend, I'll be over relatively soon, and then showed up a year and a half later, well, your friend may be relatively pissed off.
That was, Brad Pitt when he was on Saturday Night Live pretending to be Dr. Fauci. But you said, did you find the whole list of all the TV shows that are getting recognition this year? Because everybody's watching TV.
I found the whole list. Obviously too much to go over, but I thought it was not so surprising that Netflix blew everyone out of the water for the amount of nominations, the number of nominations.
Yeah.
160 nominations.
Wow, that's crazy.
And Tiger King is no longer a guilty, I'm embarrassed to watch it pleasure. It's an Emmy-nominated guilty pleasure. Six nominations for this piece of shit.
Yeah. It's funny is how hot it was, and I have no interest in ever going back to watch it again. It's kind of a chapter in all of our lives. It's like, oh, okay, that's I'm good. We've made all our Carol Baskin jokes. We can move on. It's just something that happened. They are trying to do like a Broadway play. Or like a theatrical version of that story, of course. Like they did Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville theatrical production, so why not a Tiger King play?
Well, it was nominated for Outstanding Documentary or Non-Fiction Series, Directing for a Documentary, Picture Editing for a Non-Fiction Program, Music Composition, Sound Editing, and Sound Mixing. So I am completely blown away that it won anything at all, or not won, but even nominated for anything at all.
Well, I gotta say, when I watched it, speaking of all the sound stuff, like they made him sound like a decent singer. Some of the songs they were laughable, but it sounded like a real production. So I guess that deserves an award to make him into be a country star. Anything else in the nominations that like shows that I've seen? Is there anything big going on? I haven't really looked through all
Ozark.
Oh, I love Ozark.
Ozark was in there.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
The Saturday Night Live stuff you already said. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I started watching that. Couldn't really get through it, but it was good.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yeah, we're trying to think what we're watching right now. So we start all these shows and then never get back to them. It feels like, it seems like you'd have all this time to watch TV, but literally it's pretty much the same. We usually watch like one episode of something at night. I did see a video on YouTube, and I thought we could play a little game here, Maria.
Okay.
This is, I could tell you what I'm seeing, so it kind of paints the picture for you. And I'm posting this on the Maria and Chad Facebook page as we speak right here. If you want to go to the Maria and Chad on Facebook, you can see this video. It's a drummer who decided to record himself knocking on people's doors. Only the way he does it is the only, like how drummers would do it, like, like the beat of a drum. So
yeah.
He does popular songs. I'm going to play you one here, and then you can try to guess what song he's doing. Let's see. He's walking up to the door. All right. Anything there? It's a video game. Give you a little clue.
Oh.
Let me play it.
Dun, 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 dun. That is Mario Brothers.
Yep, Super Mario Brothers. Very good. Let me give you one
Okay.
more
Ooh,
here.
yay.
Let's see here. He's going to another door. All right, that was it. That was the end of that one. Did you catch it?
We Will Rock You.
Yeah. So they're kind of fun. He goes through and he does obviously this guy's a talented musician, but if you want to play along, you can go to the Maria and Chad Facebook page and try to guess the songs as it goes through. Do want to ask you though, Maria, because the reason we couldn't do the podcast yesterday, you were assisting your husband on a trip to the surgery center. Your husband had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, my husband has a history of back problems, and about 6 years ago, he got these shots in his back, and it really, 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 really helped him. It was called, what did he tell me it was called? A cervical epidural. So they put shots.
He's pregnant.
I know, cervical, right? No, but in his back, they put these shots in between the vertebrae to kind of numb whatever. Anyway,
he's been having trouble.
So,
remember we were talking on one of the podcasts, he was telling me how to plank and help your lower back. He's been trying to avoid going to the doctor, but he broke down and he actually needed to get some help.
Well, and he doesn't want surgery. He tried physical therapy and that really wasn't working. And like I said, he did this 6 years ago and it was very successful. So anyway, he goes back, and there's two parts to the story. Number one, I'm going to drop him off at the surgical center. And I tell my daughter, I go, hey, you need to pick your dad up after surgery. And she's like, what? Dad's having surgery?
Right.
And I'm like, well, no, not really surgery, just shots in his back. And she's like, well, don't freak me out like that, So I drop him off. My daughter's going to pick him up. He goes in. And obviously we can't go with him because of coronavirus and only one person in, whatever. So he goes in and we get a call like 30 minutes later that he's ready. And I'm like, well, that's really weird.
Yeah.
And they did not give him any anesthesia.
And I'm 6 years ago, did he get anesthesia last time?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And what had happened, I mean, dig this. The surgery center never emailed him with the instructions. He knew he wasn't supposed to have like aspirin, that kind of stuff, any pain reliever for 5 days.
Right.
Because they didn't want him to bleed more.
Yeah.
So he got up in the morning, he ate breakfast, went into the surgery center, and they're like, did you eat anything? And he goes, yeah, I had breakfast. They're like, well, then we need to reschedule, or you can't have anesthesia because, you're not supposed to eat, after midnight when you go under anesthesia.
Sure. Yeah.
But they never told him that. He hadn't done this for 6 years. He didn't remember.
Yeah.
They never gave him an instruction sheet. So he got this entire thing done with no anesthesia.
So should we have your husband on the podcast? Was he in pain? Like, how did he do?
Well, so he's in the shower. Otherwise, I would bring him in. They said the first one, like on his, whatever, let's say the left side or whatever.
Yeah.
They put the shot in and they went right through a nerve. They hit a nerve.
Oh.
So he basically just shot up and the pain went, he said, all the way down to like his foot.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And then the doctor's like, well, that's the worst one. We'll do the other side. It should be better.
Should. Keyword should. Wow.
And then he won't feel the positive effects for a week or so, that kind of thing. But last night he was just on his back with ice, and he was not happy. I mean, he was just angry with the surgery center, not the doctor, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's like, hey, we're gonna take your appendix out, but we're not gonna give you anesthesia. So just bite on this belt,
That's the worst. I'm glad he's going to at least have some relief soon. The only update from my house, as far as my wife is concerned, she was making soup the other day. And I just remember this. I'm sitting in, our house is like, our kitchen is right next to our living room. So I'm sitting on the couch, and my wife looks over to me, and she's got this big bowl on the stove, and she goes, "I lost my Band-Aid."
Oh my God.
And she's looking in the bowl, like in the big pot, to see if it turns out it had fallen kind of on the side. It wasn't actually in the soup, but I'm like, that's just of all the things you could hear somebody say when they're preparing the soup. Oh, I don't know where my Band-Aid went.
You are lying. That did not happen.
It did. But you guys are all healthy? No coronavirus in your house? You guys are all feeling good?
No coronavirus. And again, I'm working at Costco right now, and we have a lot of protocols in line. We get our temperature taken every day. We're screened, blah, blah, blah. But then I read something this morning, and I'll preface this by saying I am 6'1".
Yeah.
That says, and I will read from my paper here, people who are over 6 feet tall are twice as likely to catch coronavirus as shorter people, according to a new study. The researchers say it's a sign coronavirus can build up and spread through the air, which is yet another reason to wear a mask.
So the taller you are, the more likely you'll get the virus. Huh.
That's what it says, and I told that to my husband, and he called shenanigans on that too.
There are so many things. I saw something this morning related to that, where they're using people that contract the virus. They can look at their Fitbits and their Apple Watches and see that their heart rate has gotten, your heart's beating faster up to 9 days before. So they're saying that can be something that you can look at to see if you may have it, but you're not experiencing symptoms yet.
I don't know about that.
But I mean, there's so many reasons why your heart rate could be, could rise. But yeah, everybody's trying to figure out the right way to detect this thing earlier. I think we all could use some good news. So let's do this.
Yes.
Let's end the podcast today on some good news involving skydiving. You've never done it, right?
No, I have done it.
You have done it. When did you do it?
I did it years and years and years and years ago. There was some kind of air show that was in the Valley, and I was working at KSLX in Phoenix, and they strapped a recorder to me and threw me out of a plane with another guy.
The reason this is a good news story about skydiving, the person survived, of course, but the guy who was skydiving had a prosthetic leg, and
I don't know why that's funny. Sorry.
Well, it is funny because he lost it, so it fell off while he's skydiving. But luckily enough, there was a farmer there.
I think my adrenaline was so high, and I was just so excited I didn't even realize that I lost it.
He's very grateful that we were able to find it without running it over with a machine or something this fall during harvest, or God forbid the combine sucked it up and it would have destroyed it.
It was just such a positive experience. I can't thank everybody enough, especially Joe.
So he's flying with this Vermont Skydiving Adventures group, and one of his prosthetic legs came loose, disappears, and luckily enough, there's a farmer who's working in a soybean field and finds it. It has a few scratches on it, but it's basically undamaged, and he can use his prosthetic leg going forward.
Okay. These are the questions I have.
Okay, what you got?
Was there one leg or two? Did he have two prosthetic legs or just one?
All I know is one fell off. I don't know if he had one that stayed attached or if he has one good leg and one prosthetic. I'm not sure.
Why would you skydive with the leg on?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my first question, because you could lose it.
Oh, I guess he did. I just see here. Yeah, he did have two. So one stayed attached. So he
Okay,
could,
so then
yeah.
why wouldn't he just take both of them off? I would be afraid that the impact would. I don't know. I just have a lot of questions.
Well, I'm wondering.
I guess I would have left my legs at home.
So, he needs to get on the plane, right, and move around, and then he's going to need them once he lands to walk.
True. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe he just thought he had enough glue on him, or I know it's not glue, but however they attach, he thought that they were on there good enough. But the good news is he's got his leg.
Were they the blade kind or the real looking kind?
I don't know. They didn't give us any video.
I'm asking you a lot of questions that you probably don't know the answers to. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I have no idea. But that is the good news to end the podcast Doing Life with Maria and Chad today. Make sure you follow us on our social media at Maria and Chad on Instagram, and then on Facebook, search for Maria and Chad. Tons of places to listen to us if you want to break those down, Maria.
We are on iHeart. We are on the TuneIn app, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcast, and YouTube.
And Stitcher.
Did I get them all?
Yeah, that's all. Yep, you got them all.
Stitcher, that's right. Stitcher's the new one.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll have another episode here tomorrow.
Thanks again for listening to Doing Life with Maria and Chad. Follow us on Instagram at Maria and Chad. You can now listen to every episode on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Pandora, and of course, you can watch on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode.